Hey, Virgo. So, I have a couple of things to discuss with you. I was inspired to do this little couple spread. Not really for two people per se. Well, yes, of course, but it's going to kind of be just maybe a general relationship in a sense, maybe. I noticed that a lot of people are kind of going through relationship issues right now, given all this transformation that's going on. So, all of a sudden, I just decided I'm going to do a little special for all the signs. And also on my website, I'm also doing a reading special as well. So go ahead and check that out. It's going to probably more than likely be 2 questions, 30 minutes for 22 bucks. Normally I want to say I charge like 33, somewhere around there. So I'm going to go ahead and knock off some dollars, and we'll go ahead and see what type of response I get. And these are just going to be general here, but if you would like maybe more clarity or general understanding of things, go ahead and check it out and go ahead and book your appointment. All the information is on my website for you to check out, and the link to my website is in the description box. So, Virgo, what's going on? Hopefully things are pretty good. Let's check it out. One more shuffle here. Okay. Guardian angels of love and light, ancestors lost and known in the seas of time, please intercede into this reading to provide Virgo with the clarity and direction as to which he or she seeks, and please grant me, the reader, the objectivity to read the cards. Alright, Virgo, so what's going on? How are things coming for you? Hopefully good. Just decided to do earth signs first. Kind of see where things are headed. Okay, Virgo, why is nothing popping out? Are you talking to people? Okay, go ahead and take this. Okay. So Virgo, have you been nice to your significant other, to people that are kind of going on, that are involved within the situation pertaining to the spread? You know, Virgo, I'm a Virgo sun, so we've gone through some things, right? These past couple of months. And you know, we've had a lot of issues in terms of transformation. And, you know, trying to keep that hope, right? That things are going to get better. And they usually do. But we have somewhat of a hard time just kind of keeping that faith sometimes. Just knowing that things are going to be okay. So Virgo, a lot of the situations that kind of maybe transpire that you're involved in, you also have to remember that it depends a lot, or mostly, upon how we approach the situation. You know, mostly about what type of attitude that we have in terms of how we look at things and how we approach things. Because I feel, Virgo, that throughout the hope that you've been experiencing or having, you maybe have been a little bit too critical of other people or maybe of situations, which is why the Judgment card kind of popped up. Because I feel like, Virgo, it's time to start looking at situations and seeing where they got us and see the patterns as to how we ended up there. You know, we're really good at giving advice, right, Virgo? But the minute that people ask us, well, what about you? It's like, no, we're okay. We're fine. We're not going to really worry about that too much, right? That's usually the response that we give them. But, Virgo, do we take our own advice, though? That's the only thing. Because to give great advice is one thing, but, I mean, do you take your own advice and do you actually give advice that you actually exhibit in terms of the traits or the things that are going on? You know? Let's remember that. So, I can also see here that there definitely are transformations. This Death card here. And maybe I feel, Virgo, like that's maybe the reason why a lot of transformations have been going on. Because maybe people have been bringing things to your attention in terms of how you approach situations, how you speak of maybe people when they're not around per se, maybe. Also, possibly maybe certain things about yourself that maybe you've never noticed that you do. And Virgo, I can see that through these transformations, you've been strong. It's been very, very tough. I get it. I went through it too. That 12th house transit was, Jesus, that was rough. Talking, laying in the bed, crying, not knowing why you're crying. And, you know, us Virgos, we usually do that in, you know, in solace, for sure, or in solitude. But at the same time, it's tough when we don't understand why, though, Virgo, right? Because we always have an answer for everything. We have a solution to everything and for everything. But it becomes tough, Virgo, when we don't have a solution to our problems or when we don't understand kind of what's going on, you know? But I can see, Virgo, that you being strong, which is great. But you're still feeling, Virgo, even though things have changed for you, that it's still not enough. You still feel that, I don't want to call it a waste of time you kind of had per se, or a waste of effort, because I don't think that it was. But Virgo, that pessimistic thinking, it's still sticking around, isn't it? Now, I understand the situation that's a little tough to have that, you know, optimistic thinking that things are going to get better when things are just dwindling and they're just spiraling out of control or becoming very convoluted, you know? But maybe that's how maybe you were brought into the situations that you were into that was causing the transformation, because Spirit doesn't bring you into spaces to actually transform if there's no reason to. Because there's always room for improvement, you know that, Virgo. But you also have to remember that when the improvement does come, or when the change does come, we can't believe or start to think that we don't have the abundance, because we do. The fact that you're going through a transformation is, you know, proving in itself that that actually is going to bring the abundance. Because why else would we need to change? Or why else would we need to implement any kind of change of the sort, you know? But you also have to remember, Virgo, that throughout these transformations, we can't remain constant in terms of how we think. Because I can see that maybe throughout your journey, you may have moments of maybe wanting to give up again, or maybe moments, not really giving up, it's more of giving away that optimism and allowing, the pessimistic thinking to actually take over and to continue to take over, Virgo. And that really needs to stop because, I mean, you can do all this transforming and you can do all of this work, but then at the end, your thinking remains the same, because then you're just going to then be right back up to here. And you need to create an environment, Virgo, where people that are around you want to sort of be around you, and that they want to enjoy that space with you and that time with you. Because if people really don't, then we're going to be by ourselves. And when we want someone else's opinion in terms of if we're doing things correctly, or if we need to improve anything, or how we're doing in general, how people perceive us, who's really going to be around to actually give us that bit of information? You need to also remember, Virgo, to be protective of the things and of the people that you involve yourself with. People who are around. Because, Virgo, when we, tend to be too critical, that's when things like the Ten of Cups in reverse actually transpire. Because then we're not really giving as much as we're maybe taking or expecting. Because when you expect something, that's still pretty much taking it, because that's what transpires at the end. That's what manifests is taking. So, Virgo, you must realize or maybe question why the Ten of Cups is here at the bottom of the deck coming into the reading for you. This has to do with reciprocity, Are we, giving as much as we're taking and taking as much as we're giving? We have to ask ourselves that, Virgo. Because, Virgo, what's going to happen is that if we don't change this pessimistic thinking, if we do not change the way that we approach situations, or the way that, that we judge certain things, or how maybe overly critical we can maybe be of people and of certain situations. And it's okay to state your opinion, of course, but it's the manner as to which you actually go about stating it. Because, it's not what you say, it's how you say it. And we need to understand that. And I think that a lot of times, people have given us, Virgos, that leeway of just kind of, he's just, it's just a little judgmental, whatever. But now people are starting to realize that it's not very nice. And the thing too, Virgo, that is crazy is sometimes we judge other people, or, we carry about saying what it is that we want to say, and we feel like we have the right to maybe say those things however we want to say them. But then let someone come around and try and speak to you like that. Because then, do we have a problem at that point? Like the old saying, if you shouldn't dish it if you can't take it. We need to remember that, Virgo. Because then when people come around and treat us the way that we treat them, isn't that what maybe reciprocity is? And maybe that's why this card is in reverse, because it is reciprocity, but not of favor, of favorable conditions. Because if we don't change that, Virgo, the way how I'm trying to like word this correctly, if we don't change the way that we speak to people or state our opinion of certain things, Virgo, we're going to be right back to where we started. And then what was the point of that entire transformation and going through the emotions and all of that? What was it, what was it really for? Because then if we don't change those things, we're going to have those abrupt changes. Those abrupt changes are going to come. And when they do, we're pretty, we're a mutable sign. We'll pick up and keep on moving, with it. But sometimes, Virgo, when those things come and they come abruptly, maybe we can't move forward. Maybe as swift as we're used to or with the speed that we're used to. Because we also have to remember that. Because with these abrupt changes, bring us back to that point of needing a transformation. Because then we have to, go with the flow. But what if we can't maybe transform, or maybe we're so stuck in our ways and in our head about how and who we think we should be? How will that affect us then? Because we have judgment moving right into the death card. And then we have from no abundance, or a perception of having no abundance, into the Mother of Wands here in reverse, which is pretty much like the Queen of Wands in a sense. Because the Queen of Wands here is someone who maintains and provides a safe environment. A safe environment for energy and for the soul. And maintaining that environment so people can then feel comfortable enough to come around. And also creating the environment to actually have those moments of rebirth and to transform. But if you're not willing to transform, how can you help or provide an environment for people to transform? Because when the Mother of Wands is in reverse, it's a woman who is very, it could be any sign. It can be any sex, male or female. It's someone who is just very harsh. They move so quickly, very abruptly, almost without any care. And it's also someone who is just like, move, get out of my way, move, I don't have time for this. Very honest, but it's more of arrogance on that line of being arrogant. And it's funny how your two court cards right here, so pretty much the Mother of Swords, which is like the Queen of Swords, Mother of Swords, and the Mother of Wands are both in reverse. And it's also funny how these two these two court cards are the first card for what follows. Because, Virgo, you do have the hope. And that's what brought you into the present, was actually having or wanting, needing that hope. But that's why the Judgment card came up right next to hope, because, okay, you have it, but how critical are you not just of other people, but of yourself? And I want to say that based upon that, it's saying, do you really need to change, or do you really have the right to be hopeful about something? Because it's coming with you right here. proper judgment when it comes to it. But then it's saying, okay, yeah, you have the hope, but how strong is that hope? Are you willing to actually change, to attain, or to transform that hope into reality? Because the strength card right here is in the center of the whole entire reading, which is good. But if you have the strength and you have the transformation, why do you feel like there's no abundance going on in your life? Or why do you feel like this doesn't exist? It doesn't quite add up. Maybe, could it maybe possibly have to do with these two people here that personify and exude these types of energies? The one who's extremely critical, but critical to the point of hurting people's feelings. Being brutally honest. There's nothing wrong with about being honest, Virgo. We know that. But sometimes you don't need to say certain things in a certain manner, in a certain way. Because, really? People are going to then be like, screw off, I don't care. And then you wasted your breath, and Virgos don't waste their breath, nor their energy on things that don't come into fruition. Yet this is still going on. And this may be how you're going to approach things now that the transformation has happened. But we must remember that this is not proper. This is not going to yield those results that you really want. That's why strength is in the middle of this whole entire thing here, Virgo. I see a cycle. It's a cycle. If we start here, how you approach things going or moving forward, we have the abrupt changes that are coming, which means then you're stopped and you come to a halt, into a standstill, into stagnation. And then you may become bitter because of it. And then all of a sudden, I want to change, I need to change, which is the hope. But then Spirit comes and says, really, do you really want to change? Well, how bad do you want it? And then you go back to the Death card, making those changes that you need, that you think that you should maybe make. I feel like it's an idea. Like when people say, I like the idea of you, or the idea sounds right, or sounds nice. So this is the idea right here, Virgo. These three cards right here. Because, the Six of Swords right here is someone who seeks for answers, in a sense, It's almost like it's personal adjustment. It's looking at things. But how bad do you want it? Then you go through it, then you stay strong, but then it's like, I don't think it's enough. And then you go back down to how you move forward. Well, then you do it with the Mother of Wands here in reverse, with, that negative attitude still transpiring. And then the abrupt changes come that, that counteract acting like that, and then you stall, and then you go back to being bitter, and then you want the hope again, and you see it's a cycle here. But that's why in the middle of your reading we have the Strength card right here for you, because they're trying to remind you that you just need to be strong. You could also maybe be possibly dealing with a Leo, maybe possibly a Scorpio, Gemini, Libra, or Aquarius, Aries, or an Sagittarius, or maybe possibly a Leo, since it's right here in the middle. I just want to bring that up, throw that out there. But the Strength card is there because it's reminding you just to be strong. You have to be strong throughout everything, and you can't, be pessimistic. Because here, the bottom of the deck, we have, not having that reciprocity, right? But then what does it lead to? Heartbreak, right? Which is lack of communication. or lack of proper communication. Why is your Mother of Swords or your Queen of Swords in reverse here? This is not creating that environment for the mind, for communication. So if you don't create the environment for that proper communication, do you think that that is going to come and that everything is going to be hunky-dory, you know? Because when we change these things, Virgo, is when we'll reap the benefits. It's when we're, you know, able to pick the fruit off so that we can then enjoy it. This is also becoming, I'm going to say domesticated. It sounds a little funny, but, you know, domesticity in a sense, being humble. And this is earth energy, Virgo. This is who you are and what you're supposed to embody. You know, what also is funny is you're trying to take on that sword energy of cutting and being critical and doing all of that, but look where it's getting you, in reverse. Then you're trying to be very forceful and you know, push on and embody that, you know, that fire energy, in reverse. You know, maybe that's why things aren't working out the way that they're supposed to be, and why you don't have that abundance in terms of emotional abundance with people and with situations. So you don't have the emotional abundance with maybe people and situations, and you also don't have the abundance in terms of the physicals or the tangibles in life. That's why the strength card is right in the middle of the reading, Virgo. It's here for a specific reason. It's here to remind you. Okay, so let's work on that, Virgo. Let's work on how we speak to people, how we approach situations. You know, let's work on positive and proper give and take of situations. All right. Okay, so like I said, yeah, go ahead and check my website out, and if you guys would like to book a reading, let's do it. I'm going to put the link up in a little bit for the PayPal payment for the $22 for the actual reading, so you guys can just click on it and pay. So yeah, just go ahead and visit it. Visit the book it link at the top, and go ahead and set up your appointment, and we'll, you know, make that happen. All right, Virgo, be good.